donation, all that crap.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of reflection for our troops who keep us free. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lisa, would you read the open public meeting?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda? Mr. Fuente?
Here.
Mrs. Labow?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman? Mr. Nacastro?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here. I guess David Turner is not here to be sworn in. Next on the agenda is a couple of proclamations. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. It's a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor honoring September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas ovarian cancer is called the silent killer because its symptoms are often vague or subtle, and whereas ovarian cancer is the fifth leading cause of cancer deaths among women and the leading cause of gynecologic cancer death in the United States, and whereas each year more than 22,000 Americans are diagnosed with this disease and approximately 16,000 die from it. And whereas if detected in its early stages, survival from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%, and the 5-year survival rate is only 28% because it is so difficult to detect early. And whereas the Turn the Town Teal campaign was launched by Gail McNeil during her 10-year battle with ovarian cancer, and whereas Kaleidoscope of Hope, the Atlantic Health System, and the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition Northern New Jersey are partnering to promote awareness of ovarian cancer through the Turn the Town Teal campaign. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Robert Greenbaum, Mayor of Mount Olive Township, do hereby proclaim September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and support the Turn the Town Teal Awareness campaign in the Township of Mount Olive. That's the first of the two proclamations. The second proclamation out of the Office of the Mayor is honoring One Community, One Book. Whereas the Mount Olive Mayor and Township Council and its citizens believe that reading open doors to self-enrichment and lifelong learning, and whereas the Mount Olive Mayor and Township Council and its citizens believe that a vibrant community is one where citizens are engaged in thoughtful discussion and sharing of knowledge, and whereas the Morristown Festival of Books will launch a community read program called One Community, One Book to be conducted summer and fall of 2014 with the author speaking at the main festival day on Saturday, September the 27th. Now therefore be it resolved that Mount Olive Mayor and Township Council does hereby proclaim that Mount Olive Township encourages its citizens to read Providence by Lisa Kalaza Coca and participate in One Community, One Book. Engaging in this activity promotes literacy, supports intergenerational and multicultural discussions, and fosters a sense of community by bringing our citizens together through the reading of this book. The Mount Olive Mayor and Township Council hereby extends a heartfelt thank you to the Morristown Festival of Books for bringing this nationally acclaimed program to our country. Those are the two proclamations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on the agenda is discussion community investment strategies pilot program.
Thank you, Mr. President. I could start this off, and then I would ask Jeff to jump in with the details. As council is aware, the Marvel development, which has been long anticipated, is very near coming to fruition, and we've been having some substantive discussions with Toll Brothers, the original firm behind this, Mazer Engineering Consulting, as well as Community Investment Strategies. Now, the pilot program you're going to hear about tonight primarily has to do with the 57 units as will be proposed to the planning board, and that's part and parcel of the entire Marveland development itself. So we've been working very closely with them. I want to commend Jeff and Fred and Jack Marchione in particular. The discussions have been very detailed. The last one we had about 2 weeks ago, the mayor and I were there, as well as Jean and Catherine, and we seem to have a framework of a proposal for council, which I think is going to be very favorable to the township and our financial long-term. So Jeff, if you want to jump into the details, or the mayor.
Mayor?
I was happy to be able to participate in the meeting. Ultimately, the pilot program is something that is required for the moderate income, low and moderate income housing associated with this project because of the way that the project is being funded through federal tax credits. We looked at a number of different scenarios in terms of ultimately what they were prepared to enter into an agreement with us for and what we were prepared to accept by way of a pilot program. They gave us a breakdown of other pilot programs that they had entered into, and ultimately we were successful in establishing a higher rate for the township with respect to our pilot program than other similarly situated pilot programs that community development had entered into. So we feel very comfortable that, especially with having Jack there, and Chuck, and Catherine, and Jean, that we have entered into what we believe to be a beneficial arrangement. It only relates to actually the low and moderate income housing, not the entire project, which we will get full market tax rental out of. This is the 57 units of moderate housing. Jeff?
I mean, just to fill in some of the details, as the mayor alluded to, it just applies to the 57 affordable units. There are 227 market rate units that will be taxed conventionally. Jack ran the numbers, and to all of our satisfaction, he estimated if taxed conventionally, the 57 affordable units would yield about $105,000 in taxes, of which the township would see about $21,000. The agreement we've kind of broad stroke, entered into with the sponsor, the township is going to get at least $48,000 for the first 15 years, and at least $65,000 for years 16 to 30. So, as the mayor alluded to, it's pretty favorable to the township. While the sponsor is going to be paying less taxes overall, the township should see about an additional $1 million over the course of the 30-year loan. We're still working out some of the details, especially as to how the project phases in. But we hope to be back to council the next meeting, September 2nd, with an agreement for council's consideration.
I'm not sure that everyone up here understands what a pilot program is. Pilot program is a payment in lieu of taxes, so that basically the township benefits to the detriment of the school system, so that we will actually see more in taxes coming into the general taxation revenue of the municipality, where the school system will get nothing out of this project. And while that's not ultimately beneficial to the municipality as a whole, under the circumstances of where we were sitting, we were kind of forced into a pilot program based upon the nature of how this project is moving forward. So we've maximized, we believe, what the township is going to receive from the 57 affordable units.
Just the 57 units we're talking about is at the Toll Brothers project, correct?
Well, it is, but the way that Toll Brothers is proceeding is that they are selling off the affordable housing aspect of what is
I remember
required
that
on the
discussion
site.
at the
So
planning.
that it's being run by a entity that ultimately is going to fund their purchase of the property from Toll Brothers through tax credits. They're on a very tight financial structure in terms of their financing, ultimately their rentals that they're going to receive from the project, and the taxes that they're going to be paying through the pilot program. It's almost a wash to them in terms of
Right.
ultimately where they're going. So when you understand and you've sat through these meetings in terms of the fact that we are forced to go into a pilot program based upon the nature of the financing for these 57 units, and you have to understand that the 57 units is really the tail on the dog. It's not really what we're interested in terms of the benefit to the town. It's the market rental units and the revenue that's going to be generated from the market rental units and the increase in terms of what's going to happen to our commercial establishments through additional purchasing power in Flanders and throughout Mount Olive Township, that we recognize that we're going to see a decreased overall tax revenue, but not to the municipality. It only really relates to we're actually going to see a benefit through the pilot program in terms of the money that's going to be coming into our budget. The school system actually sees nothing from the pilot program, but it only relates to the 57 units.
If my memory serves me correctly, on a planning board discussion, the entity that's going to build these, they're all 57 are going to be built at the same time. And they're going to build them all, one right after another.
It's a matter of a number of buildings that are going to be built, and they have to be built based upon the financing of the Community Development Corporation within a year of Toll Brothers breaking ground. So we're actually going to start to see, it's actually beneficial to the town in terms of when we're going to see $1 that Toll Brothers is selling these off. Otherwise, it could have been a much longer period of time before any of the COA units were going to be built.
Council, have any questions? Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Council President. Rob, during the discussions, the community, we've done work over the years. Community Investment Strategy is one of my clients. Are they going HMFA also for low-income housing tax credits on this?
Yes,
Right. So they will be building these to at least the energy efficient home standard under clean energy, if not full-blown Energy Star. So they're going to be getting, if it's every single family home, will get them $2,250. And if they go under Energy Star, or they get $1,250 credit back for each one that just goes tier 1. So it's pretty well the good wash, and you'll now have some COA units within the township, not unlike the Habitat for Humanity, where they will be certified under the Energy Star for Homes program. So kudos to that. Very good, Mayor. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Sean. Okay, next we have on the agenda resolutions. We have 13. Any discussion on the resolutions? Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Anyone from the public wish to be heard? If not, I'll close it to the public and ask for an adjournment to the public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Lisa, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda? Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Laybow?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman? Mr. Nacastro?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here. Mr. Ferranti, would you move for the approval of minutes of the previous meetings?
Sure, I make a motion to move the August 5th, 2014 workshop and public meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Next, we have some correspondence. We have 16 pieces of correspondence. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move for the ordinance for public hearing. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 19-2014, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 211, Article 2, Section 211-15, entitled Place of Material for Collection. Mrs. Labow?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 19-2014.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 19-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Next on the agenda, we have consent resolutions. We have 14. Any discussion? Anyone wishing to place consent to non-consent? Mr. Perkins?
Yes, Mr. President, I move for approval of consent resolutions 1 through 14.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Next, we have consent motions. Mr. Nacastro, would you move that, please?
Yes, I move consent motions number 1, bill list, and number 2, additional bill list for 911 Memorial.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Next on the agenda, administrative reports. Any reports from the administration?
I got a couple things to start with. Just to keep council informed, the Juvenile Trails, as well as the trail system as a whole, we've actually hit the lull post-carnival, post-tournament, so we're able to start catching up on some of our other work around the township. A couple of them, just to keep council apprised, is the Juvenile Trails, and there's 2 separate projects and grants we're working on up there. One is the Houday Grant, which is started by Kathy Murphy several years ago. It's the National Recreational Trails Grant. We've been working closely with Stanhope on that. If you've been to the Juvenile Braille Trail along the Morris Canal, there's an old the Houday Road, which went down to Stanhope, and there's the Houday. There's two stanchions in the Musconetcong. We're actually having Gene design a walk bridge over that. Stanhope, I've been working closely with the administrator, Brian McNeely up there, and they have some volunteers, so they're gonna blaze the trail up to our Juvenile Trail, which is gonna be nice. The second is the Plain Street Bridge. We anticipate by spring. Right now, we view that, we've been dealing with the State Historic Preservation Office. They're not the easiest to work with. Their hearts are in the right place, but sometimes it just delays matters. We're trying to get some railings on there, make it tasteful and safe, because if you come from Plain Street and Stanhope onto the Juvenile Trails, it's tricky getting across that bridge. So they want to restore it back to the 1922 level. We are not prepared to do that at this time, neither is Stanhope. We feel economically, within the grants that we have, we can put some tasteful, safe rails that'll make it ADA compliant. So we're close to getting that resolved. Council reports, I hope everybody was able to get up to the new council reports on Dropbox. There's a lot to click on. There's a lot of information there. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I'm hoping there's 1,000,000 words that you get to see. If there's questions, please email me. We try to really give a real-time breakdown to every department in the township. It's real-time. At the start of the month, we could dump the data in. Within 3 minutes, it updates. You see fleet, you see roads, you see everything in the township. So I'm hoping that council's liking that. The auction items that you see in your packet today, that's going to be going out. We have to advertise probably about 10 days to 14 days. That'll be out there, so that'll recoup some money into the township general revenue. Again, it's been our policy to get the old equipment, cars and computers, and get a return on that. Lastly, the agenda meetings, if you notice in your packet, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't, we started doing agenda meetings about 2 weeks ago. We wanted to tighten up our procedure for council packets. We have our meetings every Thursday before the meetings. Most of the items you see in resolutions now include a backup memo. It was my gut feeling that I wanted to make sure that council was fully apprised of the issues in front of them. Almost everything that you'll see in front of you now, unless it's a state contract matter, or if it's something that's a little bit more in-depth, there should always be a backup explanatory memo either for myself or department head. So that's something we had instituted, I think, about a month ago. And that's helped us on our end as well, just to tighten up our messaging. And then Fenimore landfill, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, there was an issue with Fenimore in terms of how the dirt was going to be brought into the landfill for the capping that the DEP is doing. They originally, or at least at one point, they wanted to bring it in through part of Mount Olive, which would have required our police department to provide safe access, and it would have really had a detrimental effect on our overtime budget. We were successful in opposing that and ultimately persuaded the powers that be that there was a better route in, and it's off at 206 through Mountain Avenue in Roxbury. I have gotten some communication from residents who don't really have an idea as to what's going on. Some people thought that we were accepting the waste from Fenimore into a landfill in Mount Olive, which obviously is closed anyway. And I've reassured everybody that whatever is going on is simply a capping process on the landfill.
Now, if DEP forces us to do the route they say, and we have to have patrolmen directing traffic, can we not charge the DEP for changing the route?
Good
For
luck
the
with-
overtime that we're gonna
good
pay
luck
our
with-
officers?
Good luck with that.
Pardon?
Good luck with that.
Well, it's worth a try.
Well, you know, if you've been following the success or lack thereof that we've had with state agencies recently, namely DOT, we're not likely to see any money out of the state. We couldn't get any discretionary aid after we were denied money for paving of International Drive. So I think the likelihood of us having gotten any money, but I think that the die is cast at this point in terms of the route that's going to be taken, and it's not going to involve Mount Olive assets related to the capping process.
So no
It seems that
Hillside
they-
Avenue's done.
I'm sorry.
I
Hillside
want to commend
Avenue's
Mr.
out.
Canny for the letter he sent to Senator Oro.
I gotta give credit to Chief Spitzer, Chief Simonetti in Roxbury, and Chris Raths, the town manager in Roxbury. It was a joint venture from both towns, and they were as loud as the mayor and I were, and it seems that we got some people's attention, so for now, it looks like it's okay.
We were on top of it as soon as it was brought to our attention.
I'm sure you were.
I have a number of issues to add on to Sean's administrative report, if I may, Council President. Couple of projects that we are continuing to work on. Rails to Trails through Old Flanders. The 57 acres that adjoins BASF, we're still in the process of trying to get the state restrictions off the property. We're looking at, and we're rather well along in terms of our due diligence with regard to a skateboard park up at Turkey Brook Park. And relatively soon, you should be seeing the lighting of soccer field number 4 up at Turkey Brook Park, which is being paid for entirely by the soccer club. There were a couple of issues which were raised on my Facebook page, which got some heated discussion. The first was with respect to bicycle riding on River Road, which one resident felt was unsafe after she was almost run off the road. The unfortunate thing about Mount Olive and the nature of our road system is that we have very narrow, windy, hilly roads. To get from Flanders to Bud Lake, you basically have 3 or 4 options, none of which is any better than any of the other ones. You're either going up River Road, you're going up Drakestown Road, or you're going up Flanders Road, or you're going all the way up 206 and cutting through the trade zone. None of them are particularly safe. but it really requires a coordination between bicycle riders and motor vehicle operators in terms of taking due care and watching out for each other. There was some discussion about banning bicycle riding on certain roads within the township. I can tell you as a bicycle rider, I would be dead set against that type of effort. There was some suggestion that we put in bicycle lanes. I can tell you that most of the roadways that we're talking about in Mount Olive are not conducive to bicycle lanes. They're narrow enough as it is, and they're not going to be changed. It's just simply an unfortunate situation. Yes, someone is going to get hurt ultimately. Bicycle riders always get hurt. It's just the nature of the risk that bicycle riders take when they ride on the roads. And it's an unfortunate thing, and I would just ask that everybody do their best to be considerate to everyone else that's on the road, whether it's bicycle riders to the motor vehicle operators, or the motor vehicle operators to the bicycle riders. There was also a lot of discussion with respect to our disposal program as it relates to bears, and we knew that it was going to ultimately be an issue because it's always been an issue in Mount Olive, and it's always been an issue in western Morris County. Today I directed DPW to provide, or at least to make available to those who want them, bear-proof garbage cans, and we started taking a look at that issue. We will sell garbage cans that have latches that are consistent with our system to those who want them. I believe the cost is about $320 for the can. And what we will do then is change out the can that they currently have and make that into a single stream recycling can by changing the lid from green to blue, so that they can use that can for their single stream recycling. I don't know how many people are going to take advantage of it, but certainly it will be made available to those who want to pay for the added security that a bear-proof garbage can would give. You know, the other option is to wake up really early in the morning and to get your can out so that it's not out all night long and available for the bears as a food source. The last issue, yeah.
Can I get in? Two things. Mayor, the bear proof, are they going to be conducive with the one-armed bandit?
They are conducive, but the operator would have to, I'm not expecting that many people to buy them, but the operator would have to get out and
Unlatch it.
Yeah, it's just,
And still,
So it'd be time consuming.
but I don't expect that many people to ultimately take it. It's really for those people in the most hard-hit areas, and so it will be somewhat more time-consuming, but it is a solution to the problem.
and then one other comment, Mayor, if I might, on the times. I mean, I have no issue. I've always gone, and Colleen corrected me. I thought years ago we had actually made an ordinance that said you couldn't put your trash out until 6 a.m. of the day you have it picked up. Obviously, that never happened. I thought it did, but it didn't.
I thought it did as well.
You and I had many years discussing.
Maybe Colleen's wrong.
Does it
No, I
make?
looked it
No,
up.
we looked it up.
We looked it up.
Does it make? Is it a possibility to do a quick study and see if it makes any sense to move the sanitation pickup time either back an hour, have them start at 6 instead of 5?
We're always looking at different options in terms of how we can improve the services that we provide, and certainly we'll let you know whether or not that's an option.
Kind of stops those people. I mean, I saw your Facebook. I mean, a lot of the people complaining about getting up at 5 a.m. You know, so if you got up at 6, would it be
There'll
better?
be as many people complaining about having to get up at 7 a.m. as 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Colleen?
Mayor, I think the bear-proof containers, hopefully we got the kind that does this, when the one-armed bandit squeezes aside, it pops the lid, is how it's supposed to work, and that's how the latest model in them were designed. Time will
All I
tell.
can tell you is that we've had Frank Wilper Jr. take a look at the issue, and we're going with the can that he has recommended.
Okay. Cool.
The only other issue that I have is I've directed DPW 8 signs to be placed at the entrance of Mount Olive, recognizing the incredible sports achievements of our youth and our high school that have occurred in the last year or two. And we're going to put them up on the appropriate place on the boards that contain such information. because we want to continue to take pride in the achievements of our residents. No, we're not putting anything up about the cats and,
No, actually, there was something I wanted to ask you. When you talk about having the skateboard park,
Yes.
I haven't seen a lot of kids skateboarding as there used to be a long time ago. Is there a huge demand still for that, or I'm
We're-
just wondering where that's coming from?
we're analyzing that. The skateboard park really is an effort to hit a segment of the population that we don't provide anything for. It's that 12 to 15-year range.
Yeah.
And so we're going to take a look at and meet with different people who are going to provide us with that information in terms
Yeah.
of whether or not we're wasting our money, or whether or not, where are there skateboard parks, how are they being successful, what needs to make it successful, or has it not been successful in other towns where it's been tried?
Because I'm just wondering, it was one of those things, I want to say a phase, but I don't see it as, around as much as I used 2 years ago, I just don't see that many, so that's why, going back like 8 years ago, I would say, yeah, let's do it, but right now I'm not seeing a lot, but that could be it, I'm just not seeing it.
You may be right.
Yeah, I just don't know,
I
I'm glad,
don't-
so you're gonna, I
I
didn't
don't know
know.
the answer to that question.
So we're gonna
That's-
check it out and see.
That is the major question to answer, because we're not going to obviously put in something which is gonna become a dinosaur right from the get-go.
Mhm.
And maybe what we need to put in is a big video parlor. Just kidding, because I know that that's what the kids are playing now. Everyone's on video.
Yeah, true, have a gaming
A
cafe.
gaming cafe. And I'm
Hearing the
happy.
cost of the bear-proof can, I'll get up at 3 if I have to. Not paying that amount, I'll tell you that right now.
I recognize that we're trying to create options for the residents. I understand it's a lot of money, but for those people who don't want to wake up at the time that the garbage is being collected, we're giving them another option. And some will still complain about it, but, we're looking at different ways to be able to solve the problem.
The other concern I have a concern for the safety of these young people who are running in the morning on Mount Olive Road. There's a bunch of them coming out of the high school and running down the road. And there's quite a bit of traffic on that road early in the morning, at the time they're running. I'm concerned for their safety.
I can tell you that there is concern for anyone who's doing anything recreational on 90% of the roads in Mount Olive Township, simply because of the way that the township developed. Whether you're on if you're back on Stevens State Park Road and you're running on that road, I've had many people come up to me and say that they'd like to have sidewalks or a jogging path. But the road system in Mount Olive is very narrow. Whether you're talking about Sandshore Road, Mount Olive Road, River Road, Tracestown Road, Flanders Road, one of the things which I hope will deal with your concern is that we looked at where we could put in additional sidewalks. And Mount Olive Road is one of those areas between the high school and Turkey Brook that we're looking at different options in terms of either sidewalk improvements or off-road improvements that'll take people off of the road between the two. Plus, we're gonna continue the path system, the trail system, and make it better through basically bridging the wetlands between Turkey Brook Park and the high school. So my hope is that between the two projects, one that the police department came on and one that we're doing as a municipality before the police department came with theirs, that will alleviate some of your concern. I recognize everything that's being said by everybody in terms of the safety on our roads for recreational activities. It's just, we don't have the capacity or the finances to really do what's necessary.
Why
I
couldn't
can't-
they run within the high school complex?
Well, first of all, I think as a bicyclist, someone who's on the roads, I don't want somebody to tell me where I'm running. So I'm not sure that we're in a position as a town governmental entity to tell the school board or an individual resident of the township where they should run, when they should run, no more so than we should be able to tell a motorist what roads they should be traveling on to get from point A to point B. You have to recognize that people who, if you're talking about the high school, those are people who probably run every day, and you can't expect them, people who are running 10 to 12 to 15 miles a day, to run the same routes day in and day out. It just doesn't work that way. There has to be a lot of flexibility in terms of where they're going to maintain the interest that they have. And I take that from my perspective as a bicyclist, because getting from my house in Flanders anywhere requires me to ride on roads which are not really safe for riding. And if you look at what roads are most safe in terms of shoulder, you're talking about Route 206, where cars are doing, 50, 60 miles an hour and passing people who are making turns in the shoulder lanes. So I feel most uncomfortable on the roads that have the widest shoulders in town, and more comfortable on the roads which are less traveled, albeit narrow. And I just hope that the motorists have the common sense not to pass at times when it's unsafe to pass. Everybody's in a rush, I recognize that. And every time when I get back to my house after doing a 30 or 40 mile bike ride, I really do have a sense of relief that I've made it back safely, even though 99% of the time I haven't been confronted with a situation that I really felt was a dangerous situation. But I do recognize that.
Thank you, Mayor. Finished with the administrative reports?
I can
Sean?
keep going for another hour if you want.
No, thank you. Any old business? Any new business? Legal matters, Jeff?
Thank you, Council President. The only item we have tonight is, as discussed tonight, we hope to be back with a finalized pilot agreement as well as a developer's agreement with Toll Brothers for council's consideration at the next meeting.
Thank you. Council reports. Mr. Ferrante.
Just one announcement, the library's Fall Festival is scheduled for October 11th from 11 to 3 p.m. That's all I have.
Mrs. Laybell.
I have nothing tonight.
Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. The update on MOTV, our Jeff Stazak now has the, I would assume, I would call it hopefully the last draft of what the policy for the Mount Olive Television for government, for the local government would entail. I anticipate that his office should have that reviewed, trying again to get the school as uninvolved in the airing and dictating of what the local government decides that they want to air on this. So it is still a work in progress, but it is moving forward, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Nacastro.
Nothing on legislative tomorrow, I believe is our Board of Health meeting meets again. And that's it for this month.
Planning Board, we have a meeting scheduled this Thursday, and I will be attending. Council comments.
Public portion.
I'm sorry. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Young man, did you want to say something? No. Okay. By the way, this young man is going for his Eagle Scout, and I wish him all the best. And any way I can help him, I told him I would, and I'm sure anybody else that can help him would be appreciated.
All right, congratulations.
Council comments?
Nothing for me.
None?
Nothing.
Wow. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Thank you. I just want to bring everybody up to date real quick on the Mount Olive Township 9/11 Memorial, which we had the check authorization added on the bill list this evening. Thank you, Sean and Sherry, for getting that thing rolling. Update, the concrete base was poured on the 13th. The forms were broken off Monday, backfilled. The decorative wall blocks are now getting ready to be set in place. They should be finished up within by the end of the week, putting up the decorative wall. The actual black granite monument itself is to arrive at the laser etch probably tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. They will then get it on the etching machine, package it, and get it ready to ship out to us, anticipating that to happen either late the last week of August or the first week of September to ship to us, to arrive at Turkey Brook Park and be installed by their installer. Once that work is done, the pillow for the gray granite with all of the plaques commemorating all of our local EMS, police, and fire departments, as well as their prayers, will then be epoxied, and everything will be set. If we're lucky, we may find a donation for some pavers. If not, it'll probably just be 5A material for right now, which is fine. And that means that the mayor will be able to actually have this year's 9/11 memorial at the 9/11 memorial. Thank you, Mr. President.
No further comments? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I forgot to say opposed.
I know, we were gonna do that.
We were going to